talked about the automatics. I've compared the automatics. A few questions arising about the manual, so I figured I'll knock that one out of the park. At the time of comparing the automatics, it wouldn't be proper to throw in a manual as a comparison, as a what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you know, the 68 RFE is a man, guys, these words are skipping my mind. But anyways, a competitor, guys, that's what I'm looking for. Ison is a competitor to the 68 RFE. By no means is it a competitor to the G56. It's not a manual transmission, or vice versa. G56 is not an auto transmission. So why don't we keep things in their territory, in their boxes, let's just say. I mean, generally speaking, we could compare those, but specifically, let's talk about nv5600 and the G56. Most aroused question among the Dodge community, so here you have it. I have a lot of miles on an nv5600, and I have very limited miles on the G56. I favor, by a little bit, the nv5600 solely because of its overkill construction. Okay? Nothing wrong with the G56. Besides, I don't know what the engineers were smoking or drinking when they came out the first Gen 56. Nothing was wrong with them as far as construction goes, but everything was wrong with the gear ratios. So first Gen 5600 is a toast. They admitted it themselves. They only ran it for, don't quote me on this, but 2-3 years, and they said goodbye to that. They fixed the ratios, and now the second gen ratios are much better. So now we're comparing apples to apples. Now, as far as the second gen G56 and the NV5600, both transmissions are solid. Both transmissions will serve you well. Now, only in extreme cases, the NV5600 is going to serve you better than the G56, and solely. And this is from research, and this is from talking to a guy that works on manual gearboxes, transfer cases, rear ends. His comment to, hey, what do you say about the G56 versus the NV5600? Which one would you go with? He said, hands down, the NV5600. Why? He's like, because they're, you know, cast iron, not the construction, the shroud of it, you know, the frame of it, the core of the transmission, what keeps things in line. It's heavier metal, it's more solid metal, and it serves you better in the long run. And quite frankly, that's only in extreme cases. At the time when the question was stated to my friend that works on gear, you know, manual gearboxes, rear ends, and transfer cases, I was thinking of putting a manual 6-speed in my little pickup I have, Gramps. I call it Gramps. It's a 12-valve engine. Is a phenomenal. I absolutely love that engine. Therefore, I love the truck. The truck has nothing special to offer but that engine in it. That engine's coupled to an automatic 48 RFE, and that tranny has held up a lot longer than I expected it to. It's not a Garrett. Anyways, the name of the brand skipped my mind, but it's shaving. I should say it's shredding its clutches, so that, you know, every time I do a service at every 10,000 miles, I get a lot of material in the oil pan. So, you know, sooner or later, either I'm gonna have to throw in a reman auto in there or convert it to a 6-speed. So, done my fair share of research. Now, back to the main topic that I'm going back on. NV5600 and G56 are solid transmissions. You guys have nothing to worry about. Besides, as I said, look out for that first gen, and make sure you're getting proper gears. Now, you're gonna ask, what's wrong with that first gen? First gen gear ratios were all over the place. I mean, I believe it was 4th to 5th. You got about 1,000 RPM grab difference, and what I mean by that is, so you wrap out the gear to, let's say, 2,500, and then you put in the next gear, and you're pushing 1,500. Like, I don't know what they were smoking or drinking, them boys out in the manufacturing plant, or the engineers, I should say, not the manufacturing. But it just ain't right. So, now, I always say this, and I'm going to say it again since we're on this topic. The transmission I would personally choose for myself on the market, on the open market, would be the G56. NV56 is not available anymore, so I would buy the G56 hands down over the Ison, over the Chrysler, if my lifestyle wasn't the way it is. Guys, I roll around town some days hours on end, and other days I just drive from my house to my office and the truck sits there all day and then I drive back. That's nowadays. But to put in perspective for you guys, when I bought this truck, I put 29,000 miles on it within 3 months. That's business, personal. I mean, simply said, this truck didn't shut off. Well, that's dramatically, but you get the point. So a lot of it, obviously, at that time was highway. But then from, let's say, 3 years from now till about a year ago, I did a lot of in-town driving. I mean, a lot. And I knew that I'm going to be driving this truck a lot. And I knew where I was headed, but I didn't know that I would be at such a rapid pace, and I would get out of hot shodding as a even part-time deal, personally myself. Because at the time when I was ordering my truck, a G56 was not offered in a limited, and that for me was a deal breaker. I love my center console. I won't trade it for the flip up armrest. I just won't. It's nothing wrong with that. It just isn't as convenient for me. This truck is my little office. I spend a lot of time in it, and I wanted to have good quality leather. I'm picky about my interior, and I wanted to have a well-built truck as far as mechanics go, as far as comfort goes. So I really wanted the limited. Well, I wanted the Longhorn, but I felt like I would get tired of the brown. So once I realized I could have a black, quote-unquote, southern style leather, you know, with all the stitching and all the cool fancy, as I said, stitching, I just went with it. But back to what I want to underline. When I was ordering this truck, I was about 60-40. 40% of me wanted a manual, and 60% of me wanted an auto. Well, a year later, I thank God for going with an auto, because I was doing so much more in-town driving. Like, when you're towing, it's one thing, you know. You go through Seattle, downtown of Seattle, it's a bit of a pain in the neck with the manual, but with a good clutch and a good tune, you shouldn't be too worried about it. Now, the fact that my lifestyle turned around and I do a lot of city driving, automatic is absolutely the best choice. So that's me. That's my reasons. Some of you guys are saying I absolutely hate the G56, and I'm repeating myself. I'm not going to bring up the G56 when I'm comparing the 68 RFE and the Ison, a neck-to-neck comparison, because they are competitors. G56 is not a competitor to the Ison or the Chrysler, because it's a manual gearbox. In the market realm of manuals, that's the only one they offer, and that's the only one you get for a manual. So in that sense, it is they do compete, but as a competitor, an automatic to an automatic, they're not. Well, G56 doesn't fit the comparison. It just doesn't fit in. So quit those stupid comments of oh, you hate the G56, you know, why don't you bring them up or talk about them? So it's a separate topic, and that's why we're on it. So to sum it up for you guys, G56 would be my choice of transmission amongst those three. So amongst the Ison, Chrysler, I would go with the G56. Now I'm repeating myself, guys. I would hands down go with the G56 over the Ison if I did less of the in-town drive, less of the, you know, stop and go stuff. But because I do so much of the city driving, an automatic, hands down, is so much more comfortable and convenient. I rarely, now don't get all upset about this, but I rarely drive and write right on my notepad. But I'm on the phone pretty often, so for me to be able to just to throw it on drive and turn the wheel is quite the relief. Some people would say that, oh, I'm just, I'm getting lazy. No, guys, I drive a manual and I absolutely enjoy it until I gotta go from phone call to phone call, and then it becomes quite the hassle. So that's it, guys. That's the only reason.